You're watching a Highwire Media podcast. Hello and welcome to the Dark Side podcast. I'm your host, Larry Lease. Today's episode, we are diving into the infamous textbook scam. Before we do that, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and let me know how much you guys pay for college textbooks. And with that, let's dive right in, shall we? College life is expensive. Everybody knows that. Tuition costs sky high, housing eats up whatever's left of your savings, and even the cafeteria sandwiches feel just super overpriced and crappy. But there's one expense, one sneaky, soul-crushing drain that every student hates. And that, of course, is textbooks. As you begin a new academic year, you walk into the bookstore with your class schedule in hand, or look online, and the price makes you gasp. Your biology textbook, $250. Your economics book, $110. Oh, forget that supplemental workbook, an extra $80 for a book that you'll probably open twice. By the time you've bought everything you need, your bank account is crying and your wallet feels like it's been mugged. And for what? A book that might have a few new paragraphs compared to last year's edition, or one that you can't even sell because the professor just had to assign the latest version. College textbooks aren't just expensive, they're designed to be expensive. It is an entire industry built around the draining of every last dollar from students and has become one of the biggest scams in higher education. Before diving into this cesspool, let's first look at the cost of a college education in the United States. The average tuition for a four-year public university in the United States is around $10,000 per year for in-state students, and nearly triple that for out-of-state or private schools. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Fastest VPN, because if you're online in 2025 without a VPN, that's basically the digital equivalent of leaving your front door wide open with a neon sign that says, "Come on in." Well, the good news is, Fastest VPN fixes that instantly. Gives you military-grade encryption, zero logging, and a blazing fast connection that keeps your browsing private, whether you're streaming, research, or diving into those late-night true crime rabbit holes. Because trust me, I don't want the government to know that I'm watching these true crime episodes and make them come knocking on my door. But it blocks trackers, stops ads, and gives your data a suit of armor. And right now, they're running a ridiculous lifetime deal. You can save 93% and only pay $40 billed once for lifetime access. No renewals, no subscriptions, no, oh hey, we got to charge you again. Just pay $40 once and you're protected forever. So what do you get for that $40? More than you can get anywhere else. You get unlimited bandwidth, 10 multi-logins, global server access, built-in malware and ad blocking, and lifetime encryption and privacy. If you want permanent protection for the price of a dinner, hit the link below and lock in Fastest VPN's lifetime plan. Stay private, stay secure, stay fast, and sign up for Fastest VPN. But that's just the beginning. Add in housing, meals, books, fees, and transportation, and you're looking at 25 to 50 grand a year. Multiply that by 4, and you got a price you can't even imagine. So how do many people pay for it? Well, that would be with lots and lots of debt. Trust me, I would know. The average graduate leaves college with $37,000 in student loans. But it is far more for some, especially those pursuing advanced degrees. Think about that for a second. You're handed a diploma and a bill that could rival a luxury car loan, all before you've even started your career. And it doesn't stop there. These loans often come with years or decades of repayment, with interest piling up on top. For many, it delays milestones like buying a home, starting a family, or even just living debt-free. College is supposed to be an investment in your future, but for millions of students, it leaves you starting with a financial ball and chain. The student loan situation in the US is a growing crisis, with over $1.7 trillion in outstanding debt. affecting more than 45 million borrowers. So, who benefits here? Well, obviously, it's the lenders, both federal and private. They reap the rewards of this sordid saga. The federal government is the largest lender, holding about 92% of student loans. Interest on these loans generates billions of dollars annually, much of which flows back into the government programs. Private lenders like Sallie Mae and Navient also rake in profits, mainly from borrowers who refinance federal loans or need supplemental funds. Loan services like Nelnet and Great Lakes are paid handsomely to manage accounts, collect payments, and handle customer service. Everyone and everything gets a slice of the pie, except the students. They kind of get screwed. The average borrower takes 20 years to fully repay loans, often paying thousands more in interest than the original balance. Even the broader economy feels the strain of this. As young professionals divert income to debt repayment, spending on goods, services, and investments decreases, slowing economic growth. Ultimately, the system creates a lopsided balance. Lenders and institutions grow richer, while students are left in a cycle of debt that often feels inescapable. We could go on and on about this American horror show, but let's get back to textbooks. On average, college students in the United States spend $1,200 to $1,400 per year on textbooks. And for certain majors like medicine or engineering, the costs can go even higher. Luckily for me, I was a journalism student, so our textbooks weren't too expensive, but yeah, they were more than what they should have been. The price of textbooks have skyrocketed by over 1,000% since the 70s. To put that in perspective, that's outpacing inflation, healthcare costs, and even tuition increases by a massive margin. It's an industry that makes some of the biggest financial burdens in America look modest. So why are textbooks so expensive? Well, first of all, there's the monopoly program. A few significant publishers control the bulk of the market. These companies decide which books get printed, how often new editions are released, and of course, the price tag. With so little competition, there's nothing stopping them from hiking prices, year after year. It's like if Apple, Google, and Samsung joined forces, but instead of a shiny new smartphone, you're stuck buying a hardcover that costs $300. And here's the most infuriating part. The prices don't reflect the cost of production. Printing a $200 textbook likely costs only costs about $15 or less. The rest, it's just profit. Publishers argue that this revenue funds authors and content improvements, but let's be honest. The authors aren't getting rich, and content often rarely changes very much from edition to edition. The result is that students often cut corners, skip buying books altogether, or scour the internet for free PDFs. This broken system prioritizes profit over education, leaving students to bear the burden. Well, let's follow the money, shall we? Textbooks don't cost $300 by accident. There's a carefully crafted system behind those sky-high prices, designed to funnel cash straight into the pockets of a selected few. First of all, the publishers. The companies we mentioned earlier, but definitely didn't name despite what was in this, I'm not going to actually read their names, control around 80% of the college textbook market. They use monopoly tactics, allegedly, that would make even the greediest tech giant blush, allegedly. By owning the market, allegedly, they face little to no competition, allowing them to set prices however they want. Most professors genuinely want what is best for their students, but some are actually part of the problem. There's a particular group of professors who assign books that they've written themselves. And this is where things get murky, because of course they earn royalties every time a student buys a book. While it's not illegal or unethical in some cases, it incentivizes choosing expensive textbooks over more affordable or open source options. Suddenly you're stuck buying that $150 sociology textbook written by Dr. Smith, your own professor. And then we have the colleges and universities. Some schools partner with publishers in sweetheart deals. They require students to purchase books and materials directly from the campus bookstore, often at marked up prices, which sees the colleges take a cut of the profits. Yeah, because apparently tuition is not enough. They also want a slice of your textbook budget. It's like being mugged twice, once for tuition and then at the bookstore. Now, if you thought overpriced textbooks were bad, wait till you see the tricks publishers use to keep you locked into their system. First, there's the scam of mandatory new editions. You've probably seen this before. Your professor assigns the 7th edition of a textbook, or the 14th edition, even though the 6th or 13th or whatever edition is pretty much identical. What changed? Well, maybe they've shuffled a few chapters, added a new graphic, or updated one section with a recent date. Nothing that couldn't be included in a supplemental PDF. But by releasing a new edition, publishers kill the used book market. Students can't resell old editions, and new students are forced to buy full price copies. It's not about improving education, it's about protecting profits. The used book market was once a viable option, but not anymore. Publishers have effectively throttled the market by lobbying colleges to require custom editions for specific courses and bundling books with single use codes. And let's talk about those digital textbooks and access codes while we're at it, shall we? When ebooks first hit the market, they were marketed as a cheaper, more convenient alternative to traditional books. The publishers quickly realized they could weaponize the format. Many digital textbooks are locked behind paywalls, tied to specific platforms, and can't be downloaded or printed legally. Worse yet, they often come with expiration dates, meaning that you're paying $100 for a book that you can only use for 6 months. Access codes take this scam even further. They're often bundled with textbooks, making them seem essential to the package. But here's the dirty little secret. Access codes frequently contain online assignments, quizzes, and other free tools that professors could create themselves. Instead, publishers convince schools to adopt their system, locking students into a cycle of mandatory purchases every semester. And because access codes are single use, there's no way to share or resell them. It's a brilliant scheme for the publishers. And here's the great punch to the students. Students don't have a choice. Textbooks are assigned by professors, required for courses, often tied to graded assignments. You can't shop around, you can't haggle, you can't wait for a sale. If your professor says you need the book, you buy the book, no matter the cost. It's a system designed to train students. Every layer, from the publishers to the professors to the colleges, play a role. The result? A textbook industry that thrives on exploitation, leaving students trapped in a cycle of debt, frustration, and financial strain. While the textbook scam didn't happen overnight, it's the result of decades of corporate maneuvering, technological shifts, and a slow erosion of educational priorities. We need to follow the industry's evolution to understand how we ended up with $300 textbooks and single-use access codes. In the early days, textbooks were relatively simple, printed pages bound together, written by professors for students. They weren't cheap, but they weren't the financial black hole that they've become. So what changed? Well, thus rises the dark side of corporate publishing. Over the last few decades, giants like companies that I'm definitely not going to name have swallowed small, independent textbook publishers. These corporations didn't just want to sell books, they wanted to dominate the market. And with their deep pockets and aggressive tactics, these unnamed companies succeeded. The used book market was squashed like a belligerent bug, and by the late 2000s, the situation was getting out of hand. Inclusive Access is a program designed to provide students with immediate digital access to required course materials at the start of their class. The idea was simple. Rather than students buying or renting textbooks individually, the cost of materials is bundled into tuition or course fees. It seems like a convenient, cost-saving solution to the expensive textbook problem. But of course, there's more to it. While federal student aid rules have prohibited colleges and universities from charging for books, President Obama's Department of Education carved out an exception where, quote, the institution has an arrangement with a book publisher or other entity that enables it to make those books or supplies available to students below competitive market rates. Colleges partner with major publishers to offer digital textbooks and resources through their learning platforms. When students enroll in a class, they automatically receive access to these materials via a unique login, often integrated into the course's online learning system. Since the program operates on a subscription model, students pay a discounted rate compared to traditional textbooks. It sounds great, but there is a catch. First, that discounted rate already starts from a horrifying figure, basically telling students that they should feel fortunate to get a digital copy for $150 because the actual book is $300. To use the mugging analogy again, it's like being stopped at knife point, but the thief is kind enough to leave $10 for a cab home. Secondly, inclusive access operates as an opt out system. Students are automatically charged unless they actively choose not to participate, often within a short window of time. Many students don't even realize they've enrolled in the program, leaving them with fees that they might not have wanted. And let's be honest, for many, arriving at college and experiencing the first steps into freedom, keeping track of systems like these isn't always a priority. While publishers promote inclusive access as a cost saving measure, critics argue it locks students into paying for materials they can't resell or reuse. As we've said, digital access is often temporary, expiring at the end of the course, which means students are essentially renting content they'll lose once the semester ends. Campus bookstores have become central players in the college textbook pricing problem, profiting significantly while taking minimal risks. With the rise of programs like Inclusive Access, where digital course materials are bundled into tuition fees, bookstores no longer need to manage the physical inventory of textbooks. They aren't buying, shipping, or returning unsold books, nor are they dealing with the logistical challenges of stocking shelves. Instead, they act as middlemen between publishers and students, facilitating access to digital materials while collecting significant fees. In practice, inclusive access prioritizes convenience but limits student choice. It shifts the power further towards publishers and away from students, reinforcing a system where education costs remain high. While it may save money compared to the traditional options, it ain't much. Despite claims of savings, students often pay $300 to $400 per semester, which is much lower than standard digital textbook prices. The textbook industry might feel like a behemoth too big to topple, but cracks are starting to form. Students, educators, and even some institutions are finding creative ways to fight back against the scam. Excuse me. From free resources to innovative policies, here's how people are flipping the script on overpriced textbooks. Open educational resources, or OERs, are free, openly licensed learning materials that anyone can use, modify, and share. Think of them as the Wikipedia of textbooks, crowdsourced, collaborative, and focused on accessibility. OERs cover a wide range of subjects, from introductory algebra to advanced engineering, and they're gaining traction in schools and colleges worldwide. Not only are they free, but they also allow professors to customize content to suit their courses. It's a win for students and educators alike, but it poses an issue for the publishing industry. One of the publishers, again, which I'm not going to name, seems to see it as enough of a threat to include a laughable fact versus myth section on its website, where it rails against OER by saying, quote, most do not include robust learning exercises with animations, videos, and or software simulations that engage students. And just a note to that unnamed publisher, students don't care about cartoons if they can save $1,000. Next, there's the rise of library reserves and rental programs. Many universities are filling the gap, offering students access to required textbooks through on campus libraries or rental services. While these programs don't eliminate costs entirely, they can significantly reduce the burden. Instead of dropping $300 on a new book, students can borrow or rent it for a fraction of the price. It's not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction. Some professors are also joining the fight, assigning low cost or no cost alternatives. Instead of traditional textbooks, they're adopting OER using free online resources or creating their own materials to share with students. These professors recognize their students' financial strain and are actively working to ease it. I don't understand why teachers can't just create textbooks that are like just set on the topics that they're going to cover that semester, and then just grab it from like um, articles and other small materials. So it's like a textbook full of, let's see, newspaper articles or other news articles, or even include a video segment from a news report on a certain topic. I mean, you could do that for like history classes, journalism, English. Probably not like the major trades, but I think you could look into something like that. Even the digital world is providing new options. Websites like Gutenberg, LibGen, and Bookboon offer free or low cost digital textbooks across various subjects. Meanwhile, some students turn to peer to peer sharing, swapping books, or pooling resources to avoid paying full price. A grassroots approach, but it's effective. Of course, these alternatives aren't perfect. OER can't cover every single subject, and library reserves are often limited, but they represent a growing resistance to the textbook monopoly, a sign that change is possible even in an entrenched industry. Thankfully, more and more people are becoming aware of this, but change is coming slowly. The college textbook industry is a well oiled machine of exploitation, from inflated prices to mandatory updates and single use access codes. It's a system built to prioritize profits over education. And for years, students have been the ones footing the bill. But there's hope. The resistance to the textbook monopoly is growing. From open source resources to policy changes, students, professors, and institutions are finding a way to sidestep the system, proving that education doesn't have to come at such a steep cost. Of course, this is all just one aspect of the higher education conveyor belt, generating over $1 trillion in profit. The Biden administration huffed and puffed about education reform, particularly with student loan and banking fees, but they weren't exactly able to push any significant changes through before President Trump took office again. But, of course, the question was it simply a ploy for votes that spectacularly backfired? It's an expensive time for everybody these days, and students are certainly paying their share. And that is our topic for this week. Let me know your thoughts on the college textbook scam. How do you see it evolving over time? Because back when I started, yeah, we were able to sell off all our textbooks pretty much, which I mean does help when you need money at the end of the year, especially when you got to save like every dollar because living on campus or even off campus is super expensive. But with that, let me know your thoughts on this topic in the comment section below. And if you want to support the channel, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Larry M. Lease. As always, you can catch us on all major podcast platforms, including Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify. Anywhere you get your podcast from, we should be there. And with that, thank you so much for watching and listening. We'll see you next time.